Masechta Sanhedrin, Daf Yud Aleph Amar Aleph, we're starting from 2 lines from the bottom, from the word Zman. The Gemara brings a couple of braises that deal with the details of being Me'aved Shana, and he gives you Simonim, Zman, which is that you're not Me'aved Shana only with those that were invited and prepared. Nasi, only you're not Me'aved Shana, you don't make a leap year, only if the Nasi is an agreement. Tzarich, that you're not Me'aved Shana only if it's needed. And Gedi, you're not Me'aved Shana not because of the Gedim for the goats, which we're going to learn later on. We don't make a leap year, only by the Dayanim who were invited and prepared from the night before the shame for the purpose of being Me'aved Shana. There's a story with Rabbi Gamil Hazak, who was the Nasi of the Sanhedrin, Shaman, that he said, Hashkimu li Shiva la'aliyah. 7 Dayanim should get up early and go up to the attic where the Bezdin, Yeshiva's Bezdin was. Hishkim, Rabbi Gamil got up early, Umatza Shmeina, and he found 8 Dayanim. Amma, he said, Miyu, who shall the Shalem Neshus Yedah? Whoever came up here without Neshus and wasn't invited should leave. Amma Shmuel HaKotam, Amma, Shmuel HaKotam got up and said, Ani hu shali shalei b'reshus. I'm the one that went up here without reshus. But Leila Abba Hashanu Alisi, I didn't come here to be part of the Dayanim, to be Me'aved Shana, to make a leap year. Only I want to see exactly how it's done, how the Dayanim are Me'aved Shana. Amaloi, Rabbi Gamil said, Shev b'nei Shev, sit, my son, sit. Ruyim Kol Hashana. It's fitting Kol Hashanim. It's fitting all the years of that we make a lipaya year. They should all be ibaya through you. Rather, only the Chacham had said that you cannot make a lipaya year only by the Dayanim who were invited and prepared from before. And the Gemara is no, it's Shmuel HaKotam Hava. I mean, really, it wasn't Shmuel who wasn't invited. He was one of the 7 Dayanim who was invited. Rather, it was another person. Because not to embarrass that person who wasn't invited, so he said he's the one that came uninvited. Like the story, the incident that happened when Rebbe was dashing to his Talmid, and he smelled the smell of garlic. He said, whoever came who ate shum, garlic, it smelled so bad, he said he should leave. Rabchia got up and he left. The Kula, all the other Talmidim also got up, and they left. Bashach in the morning, Rabbi Shimon the son of Rabbi came with Rabchia. Amalei, Rabbi Shimon Rabbi said to Rabchia, you are the one that caused pain to my father with this bad breath. Amalei, Rabchia said, Chas v'shalom, lo take his soul. This shouldn't ever be before. I would never come to the Beis Medrash this way. I only went out in order not to embarrass the one that had the bad breath. And because I went out, everyone went out, nobody was able to tell who was the one that really ate the shum. Where did Rabbi Chia learn to take the guilt, make himself guilty in order to save another person from embarrassment? We learned in the there was a story with one woman who came to the Beis Medrash of Reb Meir, and she said to Reb Meir, Rabbi, one of these students was mekadosh me with bia. Either he should marry me or divorce me in order that so in order not to embarrass the person who was mekadosh this woman with bia, Reb Meir took it as if he's the one was mekadosh with bia and wrote her a get kisus and gave it to her. So all the Talmidim did the same. They all wrote a get kisus to her and her son-in-law and gave it to her. So the student who did it, it shouldn't be embarrassed. Rabbi Meir, where did Rabbi Meir learn it? From Shmuel HaKotam, because Shmuel HaKotam, like we learned in the first story, he said that he was the one that came uninvited. Shmuel HaKotam, where did he learn it out? Mishchanya ben Yechiel. From Shchanya ben Yechiel, it says in the pasuk by the Tkufa of Shivas Tzion after the Golos bubble, when many of them they sold intermarried with Goyish women. Shchanya ben Yechiel Shchanya ben Yechiel from the children of Elam said to Ezra, Anachnu ma'alna b'Elokeinu, we all sinned to Hashem. We married Goyish women from the people of the land. And now there's hope that to be mevatel to tshuva this sin. But he included himself, Shchanya ben Yechiel included himself, but really he didn't intermarry. He married a Jewish woman. Shchanya ben Yechiel, where did he learn it out from? Says he want to be Yeshua from the words of Hashem to Yeshua ben Chsiv. But it's written that Yeshua was davening to Hashem after 36 Yidden died in the Melchemes Ai because Achan sinned. Ayem Hashem al Yeshua, and Hashem said to Yeshua, Kumlach, get up. Why are you falling on your face and prostrating yourself? Chati your soul. They didn't sin, and that's why they died. So Yeshua said in front of him, who sinned? And here it says Chati Yisrael, all the Yidden, in order not to embarrass Achan. So Yeshua said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm sorry. He asked Hashem, who sinned? So the Eibishter said, you think I'm a tattletale? I'm a snitcher? Leich, Hatel Gadol. Let's go and make a girdle, make a lot, and you'll figure out who the sinner is. Everybody saying, others say, from where did Shchanya learn out that you're allowed to embarrass yourself in order to save another person? It says that when the Eibishter told off Moshe for that the Yidden are taking man on Shabbos, which was a Isur, the Eibishter said, do not take. And Das Mavina went and collected man. So what did the Eibishter say? Ad ona me'amtem, till how long will you hold back from watching my Torah mitzvahs? Even though it was only Das Mavina who sinned and was malakid the man, and they gathered the man even on Shabbos. So nevertheless, the Eibishter didn't specify. He said Ad ona me'amtem. He included all the Bnei Yisrael in order not to embarrass Das Mavina. When the later Nevi'im passed away, Chag Yischayu Malach and Nistalker Ruach HaKodesh Yisrael. After Chag Yischayu Malach he passed away, the Ruach HaKodesh was removed from Bnei Yisrael. Nevertheless, they would hear the echo of a koil. One time, they were sitting in the attic of Yericha. There was a baskel that came from Shemayim. And the baskel said, there's a person here that is fitting that the Shekhinah should rest on him like Moshe Rabbeinu. Only his generation is not fitting for it. The people, the Chacham there, placed their eyes on Hillel Zakim because they knew that it would, to him was the intention of the baskel. When Hillel Zakim passed away, Amr Allah, they said in the eulogy, in his hesped, hey chassid, what was this chassid that we lost? Hey Anna, what was this humble person that we lost? Who was Talmid Shalesa, who was the student of Ezra Sefer. Shub Pamachas, there was another story how Yimesum Ba'aliyah that was sitting in the attic of Biyavna. And there was a baskel that came in Ashmaim. Yesh kan echad. There's a person over here who is fitting that the Shekhinah should rest upon him. Rather, the day is not, his generation is not fitting for it. They placed their eyes, the Chachamim there placed their eyes on Shmuel HaKatan, because Shemeis, when Shmuel HaKatan passed away, Amr Allah, they said about him in the eulogy, hey chassid, what was this chassid that we lost? Hey Anav, what was this humble person that we lost? Talmidoi shel Hillel, he was a student of Hillel Zakin. Afu, even Shmuel HaKatan, Amar, we have proven, it was proof that he was the one that had Nevuah, because he said Dibur Nevuah b'Shas Misasi at the time of his death. He said, Shimon Yishmael lecharba, that Shimon Gamil Nasi, and Yishmael ben Elisha Kain, they will get killed b'charb. They will get killed by sword and by the Romans. Akan Sagia Usha Amalabiza. I'm sorry, v'chavrei liktola, and his chavein Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Hananya ben Tradian will get killed in the usual way. Rabbi Akiva was killed by by combing his skin off with iron combs, and Hanani ben Teradian was killed through burning, that they burnt him. Usha Amal Abiza, and the rest of the nation was again in a tragedy, in a bad time. Tzaddik has come on the whole Eilam, like he brings down from Ayin Yaakov over there. Tzaddik niftam Eilam, Rabba Eilam. If the Tzaddik passes away from this world, evilness comes to the world. Zak Yimara Va'af al Rabbi Yehuda ben Baba Big Shalom Yakein. Even on Yehuda ben Baba, the Chacham wanted to eulogize, saying, "Hey Chassid, hey Yanav al Shanit Shah." Only the time was the wrong time for it. Shem Asmin al Harukim Malchus, because they were afraid to eulogize on those that got killed by the government, because of two reasons. One, because even though the government allowed them to be buried, they were afraid that they could change the decree and say they cannot be buried. And another thing is, if they would eulogize, the government might look at it as if they're eulogizing their enemy, and they'll arrest them all. You're not. Here's the second Inyan, that you're not Ma'abad Shana only if the Nasi, the Rosh Sanhedrin agrees. The story with he went to take Rishu's permission about Skonus, about in communal affairs, communal needs. He went to the ruler of Syria, and he stayed there for a while. The Ibu and the Sanhedrin, and the Sanhedrin were Ma'abad Shana on the condition that Ram Gamil will agree. When Ram Gamil came and returned, he says, "I'm agreeable to it." He agreed. So Nim says Hashanah Mubarak. So the Shana became Mubarak, even the Mafreya. And you don't have to be Keveya a second time. We don't make a leap year, only if there was a need to make an extra month in the year. Because of the highways and the bridges, because they got ruined in the rainy season. And they wouldn't have enough time to fix it. So that's why they would add another month. And also the ovens that they used to roast the Korban Pesach, and it wasn't fit, these ovens, because they were made out of earthenware, and they got ruined because of the rain. And because of the people from diaspora that already started their journey, and they didn't. They see they're not going to make enough time for Pesach. But not because of snow, or it's very cold. And not because of those people in the diaspora who haven't even started their journey. No, for that we're not going to make another month, a leap year. We don't make Shana Mubarak for if the goats or the sheep were very skinny, and we know that at a Pesach they would have to eat from the Korban Pesach, so they designate people for each carbon, and there were big mishpachis, so they needed more food, and the animals weren't fat enough, even though, and it had to be within a year before the year. The sheep had to be pachas min ben shana, but it had to have some meat on it, and it wasn't enough time to have enough meat to serve a whole family. Nevertheless, we wouldn't do we wouldn't make a leap year, because your yetzi, even with a kazais, for kazais, there was enough for even a big mishpacha. And not because of the turtle doves, because turtle doves weren't fit to be used as a carbon for it's called kina yeledis, for the woman who would give birth. She would need one for. She would have to bring one chatas and one eila, a pair of turtle doves. So, and they could not bring it unless it reached to the age that it could fly, and it was still too young. So we said we wouldn't make a leap year to wait it out, because they were able to be makiv pigeons, even young pigeons, but even though the turtle doves weren't ready. But you could attach those reasons to one of the main reasons. Like Ketzad, what are the main reasons to make a leap year? Rabbi Yana says in the name of Shimon Gamil, and the main reasons he had to have 2 out of the 3. But if you had the one main reason, and with these reasons of that the sheep were too skinny and there wasn't enough meat to serve a full portion for the whole mishpacha that was designated for the carbon, or the turtle doves. The turtle doves were not yet of age to be able to fly, to be able to use it for those people, for those women who gave birth, or for azav or azavis. So together with one of the main reasons, that would be considered as 2 reasons. Ketzad, what's the main reasons? We are notifying you, the Gazlaya, that the turtle doves are too young and they cannot fly, and the sheep are too young and there's not enough meat. The zimna, and here's the main reason, together with the zimna and the time of spring, the time of ripening the tuah has not yet arrived, so we need another month in order to have it should be Zman Aviv, like the Torah says by Pesach, and therefore he said the right opinion would be, and my right opinion would be, that I should add in this year 30 days. How many days was this extra month of Adar? Liba Hashana for the Iba Hashana. 30 days. 29 days. So the 29 days is a contradiction to the previous Baraisa that Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says you add 30 days. Papa answered that the kavanah of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel was to say Ratzu if the Nasi and the Bezdin wanted to make other Rishon Chodesh, meaning 29 days, so it's 29 days. Ratzu if the Rabbi Shimon Gamliel with the Sanhedrin wanted the Rosh Sanhedrin the Nasi and the Bezdin wanted to make it for the Shleishim and 30 days, they make it 30 days. Sagt die Gemara, Toch hazeh, mai ika bein takifoi kadmoilam im v'sanei basrei. Come and see the difference between those earlier leaders who are very strong to the later leaders who are novim. Meaning that the earlier leaders who are very strong spoke in a very humble way. They included themselves with others when they gave up psak. Versus Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, who was from the later ones, from the Anavim, did not include himself with others. Where do we see that? The Tanya that we learned in Abraisa. Ma'aseh ben Rabbi Gamliel. There was a story of Rabbi Gamliel. He was sitting on the step behind Harabais and the Harabais. And Yechanan, the Sefer, was standing before him, and he had 3 pieces of parchment. In front of him was lying. Gamil said, take one piece of parchment, and write like this: to my brothers in the upper Galil, and to my brothers in the lower Galil, Shleimchem Yizgei, your peace should merit, increase. I'm notifying you this man that this man, a beer of Maises, has arrived. Meaning the Torah established that Erev Pesach of the 3rd and 6th year as this man of Bia Maises. And those 2 days, somebody who was Mafresh Truma, or somebody didn't, or Maises, or he did take off Truma, he was Mafresh, but he didn't give it to the Kohen, or he didn't give Maiserishin to the Levi, or he didn't bring up to the Yerushalayim, so he should give the Truma to the Kohen, Maiserishin to the Levi, Maiseoni to the Aniyim, and somebody who didn't bring up Maiserishin to Yerushalayim, he should get rid of it now. So lafrushe ma'isa and matona d'zeisa, and also to separate ma'isa from the vats, olive vats. And then he told him, take another piece of parchment and write to my brothers of the south, Yizgei. Peace should increase. I am notifying you. This man this man of getting rid of the mices has arrived. That you should separate mices, the ears of your grain. And then he told him, take a third piece of the last piece of parchment. Say them right. To our brothers in the diaspora in Babel, and to our brothers that in Madai, and told the rest of the people in the diaspora, that the peace should increase forever. I'm notifying you, the Gazlan Akichan, that the pigeons are young, and the Miraya and the sheep are very young, and there's not enough meat for big mishpachas to eat a normal portion. Uzmana da aviva loimata. And the time of spring hasn't arrived for the grain to ripen. And then he says it became my opinion, together with my friends, that we that we added 30 days to the year. So you see, even this Takif, Ram Shum Gamil, include himself with his friends. But his son, Ram Gamil, who was known to be a humble person, did not say, he did not include his friends. He says, it could be this story with Ram Shum Gamil, who added with himself with his friends, is because that's after they removed him from the Messias when he was fighting with Yeshua, and they removed him from the Messias. Taisa says, and he became softer. Taisa says, Lavdaf, he became softer. Rabbi Shimon Gamil couldn't pass him. He had a shutav, Rabbi Yeshua. Because of three things, we make a lipi year ala ovi, because of the Tfuah that was next to the month of Nisan, hasn't ripened. So in order to fulfill the pasuk that it says Chag HaPesach should fall out on Chodesh Aviv, on the spring season, so that he says on the spring season, this Chodesh is if we business sees that it's not yet ripened, it's not going to be ripe before Pesach, so they make a Ibur Shana Al Pesach Ilan, and also for the fruits that they see, it's not going to be ripe before Shavuos. And when they saw, won't be able to bring the Bikurim when the Oiladago for Shavuos, and that's this man. The Shavuos is this man Abikurim. Well, Atkufa means the seasons that you had autumn for Tishrei, but if autumn would fall out one fall out till after Sukkot, or the same thing Aviv, the spring won't fall out till after Pesach. So Al Shnai Mehem, if you found two out of these three, like you had the Peresa Ilan, and you had the Aviv, and you have Tkufa. So any two out of the three, Ma'abim is enough reason to be Ma'abim to make a leap year. But if it's only for one of the reasons, you cannot make a leap year. If the spring, the reasoning of the spring, meaning that the Tfuah wasn't going to be ripened by Pesach time for the time to bring the Eimah, Hakol Smeichel, everybody was happy, because they would be sad if you would make a leap year or make it a month later, only because of the other two reasons, or because of the Peiros and the seasons that autumn might fall out after Pesach. But if the Tfuah was ripe for Pesach, then we got a problem. If Mizman She'aviv Ach Mahem, if the Tfuah wasn't a problem, and the Tfuah was ripe before Pesach, people will be in Tsar that they would have to wait a whole month till they could bring the Oimah, and only that after a month they would be able to eat from the new Tfuah. So therefore, if the problem was because of Aviv, that the Tfuah was unripe, they were happy because the Tfuah wasn't ripe anyway until you could bring the Oimah. Shimon Gamil says on the Tkufa. So the Gemara wants to explain what does he mean by ala Tkufa. The Gemara, in fact, Tkufa, did he mean ala Tkufa when he added the word ala Tkufa? That people will be happy that because that the season should fall out on time, like autumn should fall out by Sukkot not after Sukkot, so that when people come Eila Regel or leave, it shouldn't be in the rainy season. It should be autumn, or the same thing with Pesach. It should be spring, and not that the spring should be later. So that's what they were happy, that they shouldn't end up, especially by autumn, that if autumn will fall out after Sukkot, so it will be into the winter, they would be going up and back home in the rain. Or perhaps, what did he mean by saying Alat Kufa, that just for the seasons itself, it's enough reason to say Ma'abim, to be Ma'abim to be make a leap year. So the Shaila was, did he mean to say that if Tkufa was one of the two reasons to be Ma'abim Shana, the people would be happy? Or did he come to say, no, that Tkufa in itself was enough reason to be Ma'abed Shana, Teiku? So the Gemara says we don't have an answer. When Bezdin would come to be Ma'abed Shana because of either the Tvua or the Pedis in the region of Eretz Yisrael weren't going to be ripe on time. Let's say the Tvua wouldn't be ripe on time for Pesach to bring the Kabmeima, or the fruits wouldn't be ripe on time for Bikurim, for Shavuos. On these three lands in Eretz Yisrael, Ma'abis Hashana, we make a leap year. Yehuda, Ve'v HaYarden, and the Transjordan, Ma'agol and Gol. Ashtayim Mehem Ma'abim. If on two of these lands there was going to be a problem that the fruit wouldn't be ripened in its time, or the fruits wouldn't be ripened for Shavuos in these two lands, then they would be Ma'abed Shana. But if it was only one land out of the three, then they wouldn't make a leap year. And in the time that if Yehuda was one of the two lands that had the problem that the season was too early, that the wheat wouldn't be ripened for Pesach or the fruits wouldn't be ripe for Shavuos, everybody would be happy. The mitzvah of Muvcha was to bring from the new Tvor for the Eimah from the city of Yehuda. So if it wasn't right, but if Yehuda was right already, in Yehuda the Tvor was right, but in Eva Yan Transjordan and Gola wasn't right. So in Yehuda, even though you were able to bring the new Eimah because it was right, you couldn't bring it because you had to wait, because we pushed off another month because of the other two lands of Eva Yan and Gola. And so by the time the month goes by, you couldn't bring from the Tfuah in Yehuda because it was dried up. So you wouldn't be able to fulfill the mitzvah in Amuvcha. That's why if Yehuda had the problem together with another land, they would be happy. We're not Ma'abed Shana only in the city, the Bezdin that's in Yehuda. If they were Ma'abed Shana in the city of Golul, nobody, it's Ibayah. Hey, Chananya Yishayna testified before Rabbi Gamil. He says that if they made Ibayah in Golul, it's not going to be Mubaris. Omar Rabbi Yehuda Pazi. Rabbi Yehuda, the son of Rabbi Shimon Pazi, said, my time, what is the reason? The Chananya Ish Oinai that says that if they were Ma'abed Shana and Gola, it's not going to be good. Amakat says in the Pasuk Shichnai, to the place where Hashem rests. Tidushu, that's where you should investigate the Vasa Shama, and you should come there. Kol Dishat Hadeish. Any investigation that you're investigating for the need of the Tzibur, Lo Yiyah El B'Shikl Shamakim, should only be where Hashem's resting place is, where that's in Yehuda, where Yerushalayim is in there. We're not Ma'abed Shana, we don't we don't proclaim an extra month, only in the daytime. If they proclaimed it by Laila, it's not Mo'bedes. You're not Mekadesh only in daytime. If the Mekadesh the Chedesh by night, it's not Mekadesh. Amar Rabbi Yabba Ma'ikra, from which passage do we learn out if you Mekadesh the Chedesh by Laila, it's not Mekadesh, because it says Tikku Ba'Chedesh Sheif Ba'Kes Lo Yem Rachenu. By Tikku Sheif Tikku Ba'Chedesh Sheif Ba'Kes Lo Yem Chagenu. So it says, the pasuk says, blow a shofar at the renewal of the moon, And when the moon is covered on our Yom Tov, which is the month, which is the Yom Tov Chag, which is the Yom Tov in which the moon is covered. That's the Yom Tov Rosh Hashanah. That's the only Yom Tov that falls at the beginning of the moon month, the lunar month, when the moon is hidden from throughout the whole world. It says, because it's a chayk for the Yidden, and it's a mishpat, a judgment onto the God of the God from Yaakov, the God of Yaakov. So the pasuk puts the words of chayk, which refers to being mekadesh Rish Chodesh, to the word mishpat. And ma mishpat, just like mishpat, judgment must be only by day. So too Kitzur HaChedesh can only be by day.